Right now at 6, we'll hear from a few area residents on what New Year's traditions they do.
And we're kicking off the new year with a cold snap and even chances of snow as we head into the weekend.
Plus, Pittsburgh first responders pull a woman from a burning building Monday afternoon.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Elise Snowy.
And I'm Lindsay Gaffney.
Yes, and it's the first day of the new year.
I'm excited.
2025.
It's January already.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I know 2025, yeah, but like,
yeah,
it's been a year already. Just I feel like it's only been a couple of months.
It's feeling like January out there, Lindsay.
It is
like
very
finally.
cold. It is very cold, and we're going to stay cold for the next couple of weeks, below average actually. We can go ahead and take a look outside where we're going to see temperatures currently in the mid to upper 20s. Now, it's not the coldest we're going to see in the next forecast up here in the next 10 days or so. Clear skies as we head into the start of New Year's Day, and then temperatures are going to warm up just a bit. Now we're starting off 28 degrees in Joplin, Pittsburgh, 25 in Parsons, 24 in Yates Center. So definitely a cold start to the new year. Winds out of the north. Now we do have a front coming in later on this evening where we're going to warm up a bit as we head into Thursday. Now temperatures for the high today quickly warming up, 30s by 8 a.m. and then getting into the mid to upper 30s by noon, with our high for the day reaching low 40s. High tomorrow reaching mid to upper 40s because of that warm front. But then we got another cold front coming in. Temperatures drop yet again, and then even an Arctic blast as we head into this weekend where we could see our first chances of snow. Now, ice is also going to be a concern with this system, but we'll take a look at all of that coming up.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. With New Year's Eve comes annual traditions, and one popular tradition is to watch or set off fireworks. KOAM's Melissa Alexis spoke to some people about their New Year's Eve traditions.
Many people have an annual New Year's Eve tradition they like to follow, like making black-eyed peas for dinner, eating 12 grapes at midnight, or even spending the holiday with loved ones.
My tradition on New Year's Eve is spending time with my family,
which happens to be 4th grader Brady Strukel's favorite way to spend a holiday.
It's my uncle. He comes down and I really never get to see him, and that's just a special time for me.
Another New Year's Eve tradition is watching or setting off fireworks, which is why the seasonal fireworks store, Central City Fireworks in Joplin, is open.
A huge U.S. tradition, but especially in our area, there's not a lot of public displays for fireworks. So we do have a lot of customers that want to come in and shoot them off themselves.
Something she wants to remind people as people are purchasing fireworks to celebrate New Year's Eve is to remember safety precautions.
Make sure you brace them up when you light them. You can put a concrete block on either side of them. You can stake them with some rebar.
According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, over 9,000 people were treated at emergency rooms for injuries involving fireworks in 2023. Which is why the manager at Central City Fireworks takes specific safety measures when she sets off fireworks.
At our celebrations is we put a barrier between us and the crowd, whether that be a table turned on its side or a piece of plywood, just some kind of barrier. If something would happen and it'd get away and tip over, it would hit the barrier instead of the crowd. She
says while Central City Fireworks tends to see a bigger influx of customers during the 4th of July, fireworks are also a great way to celebrate New Year's Eve.
It's fun, it's an adrenaline rush, it's exciting, it's beautiful. Fireworks are just fun.
Reporting in Joplin, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Now, coming up later on the KOAM Morning News, our very own Lonnie Walton tells us more about another New Year's Eve tradition, making and sticking to those New Year's resolutions. Authorities respond to an SUV versus motorcycle crash outside of Carl Junction. The crash took place around 2 p.m. Monday at the four-way stop at the intersection of Lone Elm and the Fountain Road. Authorities say the Chevy Tahoe driven by a 16-year-old failed to yield to a motorcycle. The 33-year-old Joplin woman driving the motorcycle suffered serious injuries. EMS transported her to a local hospital, and she's since been transferred to Springfield for a higher level of care. Well, first responders save a woman from a house fire in Pittsburgh. The report came in around 4 in the afternoon on Monday when a caller said she was still in the residence. Excuse me. Pittsburgh police arrived first on the scene and forced entry into the house in an attempt to find the woman. The Pittsburgh Fire Department arrived shortly after and managed to remove the woman to safety. The woman received minor injuries but was treated at the scene before being released. Responders contained the fire to the room of origin and extinguished it without any structural damage or fire spread. Well, huge crowds were gathered around New York City's Times Square for last night's New Year's Eve celebration. While the annual ball drop happened under heavy security, revelers were excited to be in the Big Apple to ring in the new year. Wendy Gillette was there.
It's never too early to grab a spot for the big ball drop overlooking Times Square. What time did you get here?
6 a.m.
And you are a native New Yorker coming here.
Yes, ready. I'm in for the long haul.
How many times have you been?
8 years in a row.
By the time midnight rolls around, the city estimates at least 1 million people will be here, waiting to ring in 2025.
We just came from Japan all the way here just to see this. Just to feel the crowd.
The famous ball drop dates back to 1907. This year's spectacle features a 12,000-pound ball made of 2,500 crystals. It has already been put to the test.
We're ready. Let's celebrate.
Revelers will have mild weather for their New Year's Eve Endurance Challenge here in Times Square. But the forecast takes a twist this evening with a substantial chance of rain in the hours leading up to midnight.
New Year's Eve in Times Square is one of law enforcement's biggest challenges. The NYPD and state and federal agencies are monitoring the area with more than 70,000 cameras, roadblocks, and heavy trucks and drones.
We have plainclothes teams, K-9 teams, and officers on horsebacks and helicopters and on boats.
By the time the ball drops in New York, it's been a new year for hours in places like New Zealand and Hong Kong, where colorful fireworks displays lit up the skies. In Taiwan, fireworks flew out of skyscrapers. Revelers near and far hoping 2025 is their best year yet.
Happy New Year!
Wendy Gillette, CBS News, New York.
The NYPD says there are no specific credible threats to Times Square. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Republicans are making a push to extend President-elect Trump's tax cuts before he takes office once again. Plus, the start of a new year could mean a fresh start for your mental health. We'll have a few tips to use to help you this new year. And our first potential winter weather storm is approaching. Lindsay Gaffney will have the details on what to expect. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning. Well, travelers should double check more than their luggage before boarding a flight in 2025. Beginning in early May, passengers will need a real ID to fly across the U.S. The Real ID Act was passed after the 9/11 attacks, now requiring driver's licenses and state-issued IDs to meet certain security protocols. And travelers may already have a Real ID compliant document and not know it, since states have been issuing them to individuals for years. A gold or black star on a state-issued ID passes as a Real ID. Flyers who are missing a Real ID can go to their local Department of Motor Vehicle to find out what papers they need to get one. The Real ID rule will be effective starting May 7th of 2025. Well, China is denying the nation's involvement in the hacking of the U.S. Treasury Department. The U.S. agency has accused Chinese hackers of remotely accessing workstations and unclassified documents after compromising a third-party software service provider. A Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson denied the allegations yesterday and reaffirmed the country's opposition to all forms of hacking. A spokesperson also called the accusations groundless, saying, quote, "We are even more opposed to the dissemination of false information against China for political purposes." The U.S. is investigating the most recent event as a major cybersecurity incident. Well, President Joe Biden wraps up his last vacation in the Caribbean before his final weeks at the White House. The Commander-in-Chief and First Lady Jill Biden boarded Air Force One on New Year's Eve after spending nearly a week in St. Croix. They are headed to Philadelphia Airport, and it's the third year in a row the president and his family have traveled to St. Croix for the holidays. President Biden's last official work trip is scheduled for Rome, where he will meet with Pope Francis and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Well, one of President-elect Trump's top priorities when he takes office will be to extend his 2017 tax cuts before they expire at the end of next year. Republicans argue if this measure is not re-upped, costs will go to taxpayers. Grady Trimble is at the White House with the story.
Exactly 1 year from today, key provisions of the tax cuts President-elect Trump ushered in during his first term will expire, setting the stage for a battle on Capitol Hill in the new year to extend them. House Ways and Means Committee Chair Jason Smith getting out ahead of the fight. He claims letting the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act lapse would mean a big tax hike for everyday Americans, on average a 22% increase. Smith writes Congress needs to act swiftly to take this threat of a tax hike off the table and give the American people assurances that the relief they have been demanding has arrived. Trump promised on the campaign trail to make the cuts permanent, and House Republicans agree it's a top priority. House Speaker Mike Johnson puts it high on his legislative list if he wins re-election later this week.
We are going to restore our stature on the world stage, get our energy policy fixed, make sure that we don't have the largest tax cut in U.S. history imposed upon the American people at the end of next year when the tax cuts from the Trump era expire.
Elon Musk is weighing in on the tax debate, posting on X that the tax code needs drastic simplification. But Democrats argue extending the Trump tax cuts will only help people like him. Senate President Pro Tem Patty Murray saying Republicans want to expand the Trump tax cuts, adding $4.6 trillion to our national debt and give massive handouts to billionaires. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget did find that extending the Trump tax cuts would add trillions of dollars to the national debt over the next 10 years. It already sits at $36 trillion. But Republicans point to recent Treasury Department data, which shows tax revenues are up some 45% from November of 2017 to now.
And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Lindsay with a look at your forecast.
Well, temperatures are pretty cold this morning. Temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. Clouds are going to start to clear here in the next couple of hours. We've got some low-level clouds still sticking around, but we're going to have a pretty nice day today. Temperatures warming up to the low 40s, and the sun comes back out. Outside of that, we have a calm next couple of days weather-wise. Some clouds moving through. But really our next chance of a big weather event is coming in this weekend, where we're going to see potential for a big Arctic blast, maybe even some snow, ice, and rain chances starting on Saturday. But I'll have a full look forecast coming up.
Well, many of us make resolutions heading into the new year to better ourselves, but we also find those resolutions are often abandoned after a few short weeks. Jeff Wagner has more on how to tackle the resolution of how to better your mental health.
Dave Johnson is on his way to ease his mind. Inside his home is a calming space to meditate. Johnson has anxiety, a disorder that intensified during the COVID-19 pandemic. He works in public health.
Being completely overwhelmed by work and family and just feeling like there wasn't any way out.
Molly Peterson is the director of adult programs for Minnesota's National Alliance on Mental Illness.
I don't think that enough people are saying, I really want to improve my mental well-being in the new year. They want to do better in their job. They want to do better on their weight.
but specifically focusing on mental health can be easy and attainable.
You mentioned meditation, and that's a great one because it's literally forcing you to just kind of sit in the present moment and not have racing thoughts and negative self-talk.
Here's some tips to get started in the new year. Use an app, as they can guide beginners on how to meditate. Create a space in your home to designate as the meditation area. Set an attainable goal for how often you'll do it. Lastly, find an accountability partner, either someone to meditate with you or gently remind you to stay on track.
It gives me the option of choosing, do I want to continue following anxiety thoughts, or do I want to do something else?
Ultimately, his recipe to better manage it included medication, changing therapists, and making meditation a more integral part of his life. Jeff Wagner, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Well, to get help in crafting your resolution, no matter the goal, NAMI has some advice. You can visit their website at NAMI.org. Now let's check in with Lindsay for a quick look at the forecast.
Well, we're starting off New Year's Day, a little cloudy, but clouds start to clear. We have a pretty calm next couple of days. A couple of fronts moving through. It's going to change our temperatures up by a few degrees, but really we're going to stay dry all the way until we get to this weekend. Temperatures have dropped pretty significantly down to about an average for the next couple of days until our next weather system moves in on Saturday. Big Arctic blast, and we have the potential to see some snow. I'll have more coming up. Well, we're starting off the new year a little cold. Temperatures dropped just before New Year's Eve, and we're staying about consistently about average for the next couple of days. Skies are clearing over the next couple of hours. We still have a few low-level clouds, but starting to push their way out to the east, and then we're going to have a mostly sunny skies for our New Year's Day. Now, outside of that, it's going to be a pretty calm weather pattern for the next couple of days. We do have a couple fronts moving in that will change our temperatures by a few degrees, but doesn't really give us any rain chances for the next at least couple of days. So taking a look at our trend for the last 36 hours, we had that front move in late Monday night where we saw temperatures in the low 60s for our high on Monday, and then they dropped down low 40s for our high on Tuesday. So we dropped nearly 15 to 20 degrees. And this is just about average, low 40s for the highs and into the upper 20s for the lows. That's typically what we should be seeing this time of year. And that's where we're going to be at least through the rest of the week. Now let's walk through Wednesday. Waking up 7:30 in the morning, sunny skies, temperatures still a little cold in those mid-20s, even low 20s. A few clouds pass by, but overall it's going to be a really nice day. Temperatures again reaching the lower 40s. And then we have a warm front moving in late Wednesday evening. So by 7:30, starting to see some clouds, winds shifting out of the south-southwest. That's going to bring a little bit of a warm up as we head into Thursday. Temperatures getting into the upper 40s by Thursday afternoon. So there comes our next round. Earlier in the day on Thursday, mid-morning, we're going to see a cold front pass by shortly after that warm front. Now it's still outside of Wichita by about 7:30 in the morning. Temperatures are about average, upper 20s to low 30s. But then those clouds really overcast for most of the day. By 10 a.m. we're going to start to see that cold front pushing closer. A few rain showers north of us. However, we could see maybe a few isolated showers kind of popping up out in the northeast. Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton area, but mostly just going to be overcast for the day on Thursday, and then temperatures drop back down as we head into Friday. Now on top of that, the big weather event we're going to be focusing on over the next couple of days is going to be our Arctic blast that's coming in this weekend, starting on Saturday. Start off a little bit of rain showers, maybe isolated showers if they make it to the surface. By midday on Saturday, heavier rain starts to move in, and then heavy rain mixing with a little bit of ice as we head into Saturday evening, getting to about 11:30 p.m. We're going to have rain chances, sleet chances, freezing rain chances through most of the overnight hours, and then the front actually passes. There's our low pressure system, winds out of the north following that low pressure system by Sunday morning. This is 9:30 in the morning. We're switching more to just freezing rain, sleet, and then following that front, mostly snow overtakes it, and winds out of the north, dropping those temperatures pretty quickly down below freezing as we head into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Now, light flurries still stick around maybe early Monday morning, but really clears out. We have the chance to see a little bit of ice falling that could drop 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch of ice. However, with the rain that we get in the southern counties, central and southern counties, freezing overnight, that's still going to be a big concern with ice on the road. And then pair that with the snow chances we could see getting up to maybe 4 or 5 inches in the north, 3 to 5 inches, in the northern strip, and then central and southern counties, 1/2 inch to 1/10 of an inch of snow. Not a lot in the central and southern counties, but still patting that on top of it. A little ice on the road can create some pretty dangerous driving conditions as we head into the weekend and even the start of Monday morning. You can see temperatures are pretty cold following that system, down below freezing for our highs and overnight lows in the teens. So it's going to be pretty cold next weekend, or this upcoming weekend and next week. Until then, let's enjoy those 40-degree temperatures to start off our new year. And we can go over to Elise with Health Watch.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. The U.S. officials are phasing out a leading decongestant found in a range of medications. So what should you use to treat nasal congestion? Well, experts say saline drops and rinses can help clear up your sinuses, and nasal steroids and medications, including pseudoephedrine, are also effective. Now, phenylephrine is said to be phased out next year after studies showed it was no more effective than a placebo. A new proposed federal rule would make cosmetic companies take more steps to ensure their products are asbestos-free. The FDA proposal is aimed at makeup, baby powder, and personal care products containing talc. Now, talc can sometimes be cross-contaminated with asbestos, but recent FDA testing found no asbestos in popular cosmetics. And up to 70% of people abandon their New Year's resolution within months. So how can you keep yours? Well, experts say set smaller, realistic goals like exercising for just 10 minutes a day. You can think positive. It makes a difference in how long you stick with a resolution. And be kind to yourself. That's an important one. Change is hard, so don't expect perfection. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, police in Afton are looking for 2 men who have overpacked a public dumpster.
And we're kicking off the new year with cold temperatures and even the chance for snow later on this weekend.
Plus, we'll hear from a few residents on how they plan to keep their New Year resolutions.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:31. I'm Elise Noe, and that's our green screen.
It is a beautiful green screen and
there
a
we
great,
go. There we go.
Great start to the new year. It's going to be cold the next couple of weeks, and we even have our first snow coming up.
Yes,
so a lot's
do.
happening
this morning.
this morning and in the first week of the new year. I mean, a quick switch up. We can even go ahead and start taking a look outside and see some clear skies for New Year's Day. Looking pretty good and cold as well over the next couple of weeks. So temperatures starting off tonight and into the morning in the mid to upper 20s. Now, clouds are starting to clear out and temperatures are going to warm up to the lower 40s today, but right now 24 in the 8th Center, 23 in Iola, so very cold up in the northwest, 28 in Joplin, Pittsburgh, Lamar area, 26 out in Independence. You can see northwesterly breeze coming in. Winds shift though, and we have a bit of a warm up on Thursday. Now clouds are starting to clear right now, and we're looking pretty good for our New Year's Day with temperatures quickly warming up into the lower to mid 30s by noon. Sun comes out and low 40s for our high today. So it's going to be an all right day, still a little bit chilly, but that's what is expected for January. So about average. Now we head into the weekend. calm weather pattern up until our winter weather system. First system that's really moving through that we have seen some decent consistency on the last couple of weeks, that we are expecting some possible snow and definitely ice as well. So that's going to be causing some dangerous driving conditions as we head into Monday morning, because the system lasts until early Monday morning. We're going to see maybe a tenth to a quarter of an inch of ice on the ground, and then on top of that, adding some snow that we'll get later Sunday evening, up to 2 to 3, maybe even 4 or 5 inches in the north, far north. But the further south we go, mostly about a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch of snow. So not a lot of snow that's predicted. However, still could cause some dangerous driving conditions on the road. But I'm going to take a full look and kind of break it down what you can expect coming up this weekend.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, authorities in Afton, Oklahoma want to thank the public for tips they've provided concerning an incident involving excessive dumping. The incident, which led to the removal of a dumpster from behind the Afton City Hall, took place last week. Now, trash on Friday had piled over the dumpster until the excess piled up around the area. Now, trash services were unable to empty the dumpsters as the area was too piled up with garbage to get near it. Now, authorities believe this man is responsible for dumping on the grounds around the dumpster. Afton police are asking the public to please contact them if they have information regarding either of the men in the photo. Well, some places in the 4 states kicked off their New Year's celebration a little early yesterday. St. Bridget Catholic Church in Scammon, Kansas got in on the holiday fun with a Ringin' the New Year bash. And the church invited kids and adults of all ages to the event to take part in some fun and games such as flip cup, tic-tac-toe, and yummy milk and cookie martinis.
Idea for our church family to do together, and also it kind of benefits both ends of the spectrum, the little kids that don't need to stay up until midnight, and also the older people of our parish who don't want to stay up until midnight or don't need to be driving after dark. So it's a good way to bring us all together.
The event started at 10:30 and didn't end until they ring in the new year. We each hope for blessings and success in 2025 and strive to endure challenges. KOAM's Lonnie Walton spoke with some folks at the North Park Mall in Joplin who hope to do just that.
My New Year's resolution is to beat cancer.
Joe Erie is a 40-year-old father from Kansas. Right now, he's battling testicular cancer, the one he says should be the easiest cancer to fight, but unfortunately, not for him.
Keep getting better, but it keeps coming back. But I fall on a 2%.
We also met Jonathan Fleshman, who says he's also battling his own demons.
A recovering addict that's been struggling for a very long time.
And he admits he's made a few mistakes.
Wrong people, wrong places.
But his mother is doing what most look forward to doing in the new year.
My New Year's resolution, I've lost 140 pounds so far. Walk to get healthier.
Yep, and as you may know, that's number 1 on the resolution list.
Exercise, eat healthy.
My New Year's resolution this year is to lose some weight.
Just eat better in general.
And I guess you can imagine what's on the younger minds these days. School.
Hoping to get good grades this year. New Year's resolution is to not fail all my classes like I did this year. To graduate on time.
Basically like graduate.
Is to graduate on time.
And with that said, both Erie and Fleshman says they have a few words for those battling demons.
My faith in Christ.
And if you don't have a family, at least find God, because that's where it's at.
And that was the biggest advice from these Joplin residents, to never lose hope and never give up. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
According to a Forbes poll, New Year's resolutions last only about 3 months on average. And just like national polls, most folks Lonnie spoke with said they have struggled to keep their previous resolutions. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. The price of your coffee could be going up, and it might not be the reason that you think it is. Plus, we're tracking rain chances along with the possibility of winter weather. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. In Consumer Watch this morning, Well, the new year is starting with some bad news for millions of Americans. Coffee is likely going to get more expensive. Michael George explains.
Customers have been coming to Nicholas Coffee Company in Pittsburgh for more than a century, and currently the store is facing a modern challenge: the soaring price of coffee beans.
In the last decade, this is the highest it's been.
Third-generation owner Jordan Nicholas has always seen fluctuations, but these days some coffee commodities are trading around 70% higher than a year ago. That's because supplies are down after severe drought killed plants in Brazil and Vietnam.
This is a little unprecedented territory right now.
And it's not just the lack of supply that's driving prices.
You're talking about wage prices going up. You're talking about fuel prices that have gone up, transportation that's gone up. It's really a whole bunch of combination of things that are actually impacting the price of coffee.
The price many consumers pay for coffee is up about 11% from a year ago, and that daily cup is expected to get more expensive. The companies behind brands like Folgers, Dunkin' Donuts at-home coffee, and Nespresso have already announced price increases, and others could follow suit.
We'll start to see some of that impact in January. The prices will go up, and that's usually kind of when most companies will increase prices.
Nicholas is trying to keep prices in check.
Try to absorb as much as we can. May not pass on the whole amount of that.
That's because he wants customers to keep coming through the door. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Well, 2024 was a year to remember for stock investors with a slew of daily record closes for the major indexes. Now, for the year, the Dow gained a healthy 12%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite roared ahead with a close to 30% rise. And the S&P gained more than 23% last year. Now, it's the first time since the late 1990s that the S&P has seen back-to-back gains of more than 20% for the year. And Bitcoin, meanwhile, saw a stellar year. Bitcoin was trading at just over $40,000 a piece at the start of 2024. The price surged to a milestone $100,000 early last month, but by the New Year's Eve, the volatile cryptocurrency stood above $90,000. Now, in 2010, it was trading around just $40. Well, the new year may bring more relief for drivers at the pump, according to a new forecast. In its 2025 fuel outlook, Gas Buddy says it expects fuel prices to continue easing in 2025. After averaging $3.33 in 2024, the national average for a gallon of regular is forecast at $3.22 this year, according to Gas Buddy data. And that's a look for Consumer Watch. Here's Lindsay with another look at your forecast.
Well, today temperatures are going to be warming up slowly but surely into the mid-30s by 11 a.m. Sunny skies, so the sun finally comes back out, and we're going to see temperatures warming up to the low 40s. So high of about 43, 44 degrees. Not too bad today. This is about average what we should be seeing this time of year. However, as we make our way through the rest of the week, temperatures are going to be about average until we hit Saturday and Sunday. We have a big storm coming through. We're going to see rain, freezing rain, sleet, and even snow chances. So taking a look at our ice tracker in the northeast, getting up to half an inch, maybe even up to 2.5 inches of ice on the ground, not to mention the rain that we're seeing in the southern and southwestern counties are going to freeze over overnight. So a lot of ice on the ground could potentially occur as we head into the weekend, and then pack that on top with a little bit of snow as well. Most of us will see about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch, and then the further north you go, a little bit more snow. We could see up to 2 to 3, even 4 inches of snow in the north and northwest. So we have a big ice to snowstorm coming in this weekend. Confidence is low on how much we'll get at this time because the system is a little bit tricky, but we are definitely getting some form of wintry precipitation. So we're going to talk about that more coming up, but it's almost time to celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. They're up after the break, but first let's see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on a very special New Year's edition of CBS Mornings, we are looking back at some of our favorite stories from the past year. Gail shares her very candid conversation with rock star Lenny Kravitz, while Vlad talks with directing legend Francis Ford Coppola. And we all look back at the Super Bowl that was, what we loved about Vegas as well. I had a great time. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
It's time to celebrate some New Year's Day birthdays here this Wednesday morning, starting in Pittsburgh with a happy third birthday to Oakland O'Banion. Says here, happy birthday from great mama. Love you so much.
And turning 9 today, Aiden Forbes. The message says, happy birthday. Love you, buddy, from mom, dad, and Ivy.
Making our way over to Columbus, a happy 69th anniversary to Bob and Sue Cook.
And another Pittsburgh birthday for Jean Cocodrilli with Love Your Family. Happy birthday, Jean.
And as always, we love celebrating those birthdays and anniversaries with you. And if you would like to celebrate your next celebration, you can do so by submitting it to birthdays@koamnewsnow.com. Be sure to meet the deadline that you see there at the bottom of your screen, and to also include the date of your celebration as well. Now let's head over to Lindsay for a full look at the forecast.
Well, taking a look at downtown Pittsburgh, we're going to start to see these clouds clearing out. Sun comes back out, but temperatures are still going to be pretty cold. So starting this morning, we're seeing those temperatures in the upper to mid 20s. Clouds have mostly made it out, heading out towards Pittsburgh and then off to the east. And then we're going to be mostly sunny skies for the rest of the day. A few clouds moving in, but overall a pretty nice day today. Now more clouds move in tomorrow. We have a little bit of a shortwave trough, a little warm front coming in tomorrow and a cold front coming in. No rain precipitation, but we are going to see overcast skies for Thursday. Outside of that, it's a pretty calm weather pattern for the next several days through the rest of the week. We have seen that cold front that came through earlier on Monday dropped our temperatures back down to average. So normally this is what we should be seeing, temperatures in the low 40s and then overnight lows in the low 30s and upper 20s. So that's going to be consistent for the next several days. And let's look at that future track. Through 7 in the morning, we are seeing clouds mostly cleared out of here. Temperatures starting to creep back up into the 30s and highs in the lower 40s, about 43, 44 degrees. As we head into this evening, winds start to shift out of the south. We have a little bit of a warm front moving in, so we're going to have overcast skies starting late this evening and into tomorrow as well. Now, cold front moves in mid-morning to early afternoon on Thursday. Mostly Kansas City and north getting a little bit of snow and a little bit of rain up in the north. We are staying dry just as overcast skies push in, and then you can see maybe a few showers that kind of trickle all the way down to Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton area. So that's going to be our main concern. If we do see any precipitation from this system, it's going to be mostly in that northeast region. So that's going to be mid-morning on Thursday to early afternoon, and then it clears out. Winds shift out of the north. Partly cloudy skies return again on Friday, and we're looking pretty good back into the low 40s for a high on Friday. Now let's jump ahead to Saturday. We're finally seeing our first winter weather system coming in. So this is starting 7 a.m. Might see a few light showers pushing in as early as the morning and early afternoon, but most of this is going to hold off until later in the evening, where we're going to start to see some heavier rain, especially in the central and southern counties. Now, when temperatures are getting this cold at the surface, we're going to switch on over to like a freezing rain and a sleet later in the evening hours, overnight hours. So this is about 11:30 on Saturday. We're starting to see that cold front push in early Sunday morning. There's our low pressure system, so it goes right on top of us. So winds are kind of rotating around it. We already had that warm front push in, so this is our cold front. Wind shift out of the north. Following that, temperatures drop pretty quickly. So this is about 9:30 in the morning on Sunday. We're in the mid 30s to upper 30s, especially in the southeast. And then the further north you go, following that cold front, temperatures are going to drop pretty quickly. So highs for the day, only getting into the mid to upper 30s, low 40s. And then we switch from a freezing rain, sleet mixture to mostly just snow later in the afternoon on Sunday. Not a lot of snow, and mostly just staying in the northeast counties, and a light little flurries following the central and southern counties. And it clears out. This is about 8 p.m., so it's already starting to push out to the east in Sunday evening, and then temperatures drop. Now, even though we are seeing that potential for snow, we get a lot of rain ahead of time, and then temperatures drop down below freezing. So ice is going to be a big concern. The amount of ice that falls from the sky, only about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch in the northeast. But all of this area is getting rain, and overnight lows dropping down well below freezing is going to be a big concern with ice on the ground, and then pair that with a little snow padded on top of that. driving conditions could potentially see some pretty dangerous issues as we head into Monday morning. So this system finally clears out Monday morning, but still all of this is going to be on the ground. And we have that potential to see the ice layer and then a little bit of snow. So driving conditions could be pretty dangerous heading into Monday morning. So keep that in mind, make plans. But until then, temperatures are going to be about average, bouncing around in the 40s before that big system hits. So don't forget to enjoy it. Now that's a look at your forecast. We'll be right back.
Well, here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Well, first responders save a woman from a house fire in Pittsburgh late Monday afternoon. The woman received minor injuries but was treated at the scene before being released. The responders contained the fire to the room of origin and extinguished it without any structural damage or fire spread. And authorities respond to a collision between an SUV and motorcycle outside of Carl Junction. The crash took place around 2 p.m. Monday at the four-way stop at the intersection of Lone Elm and Fountain Road. The 33-year-old Joplin woman driving the motorcycle suffered serious injuries. EMS transported her to a local hospital and later to Springfield. Authorities in Afton, Oklahoma want to thank the public for tips they've provided concerning an incident involving excessive dumping. Authorities believe this man is responsible for dumping on the grounds around the dumpster. Afton police are asking the public to please contact them if they have any information regarding either of the men in the photo. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Well, jumping over to our 10-day forecast, we've seen these temperatures in the 60s now following New Year's Eve. We're down in the 40s. This is about average what we should be seeing this time of year over the next couple of days, but we have a big winter weather system coming up starting Saturday afternoon and into the evening, where we could see all modes of winter weather, sleet, freezing rain, even snow chances later Sunday evening. So we do have that chance for some winter precipitation coming up this weekend that will drop temperatures significantly following that system.
Alrighty. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making Rancher's chicken dip in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues.
Plus, a young teenager spreads holiday cheer by handing out gifts to those around her. But that'll wrap it up for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.